also worked in machine learning and its application. His current area of research includes security aspects in blockchain technology and machine learning based analysis of ciphers. He received DRDO Young Scientist Award from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam in 2011. He is the recipient of DRDO Lab Scientist Award for the year 2007. He is also the life member of Cryptology Research Society of India CRSI and Society for Special Function and its Application. He has delivered invited talks, lectures in various conferences and workshops, and also in special courses on Indian Army, Navy, and Air Force personnel on blockchain technology, cryptocurrency, deep learning method, soft computing application in cryptography, authenticated encryption, lightweight cryptography, mathematical foundation of cryptology, cryptographic hash function, and machine learning in cryptography. He delivered series of lectures on naval officers of several countries at INS Shivaji Lonavala in 2010, apart from having a teaching experience of 2 years at Jaipur Engineering College, Jaipur. He published around 15 research papers in national and international journals and conferences, apart from publishing 8 technical reports. We welcome you, sir. We welcome you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir, for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. So let me first share my screen. I think it is visible.
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay. So thank you very much, and thanks to organizers for giving me this opportunity, and a special thanks to Deepak ji, who has been in my contact since last 1 or 2 months. So thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So title of my talk is Application of Machine Learning in Cryptography. So I will keep it very simple, and if there are any questions, so it is always welcome, anytime welcome. So first talking about my organization, I am from DRDO, and Scientific Analysis Group is one of the laboratories who are working in communication. Uh, this is outline of my talk. So first we'll try to visualize the problem. Again, I'm telling that I'll keep the things very simple. So if there is any doubt, any question, you can interrupt me anytime. So first we'll try to visualize actually what is the problem, then what is the complexity of the problem. So there are several techniques from machine learning, but I'll be talking about deep neural network. Then deep neural network or any machine learning technique is used in classification or regression optimization, but I'll discuss about classification. And then I'll take several test cases on some ciphers, and we'll finally conclude the talk. So exactly what is the problem? Suppose I have some very simple AI model inside my computer and this picture is coming. So what my AI model will tell that today you have a talk at Galgotia. So what we are expecting that machine should do all the things. So this was a very simple task, but exactly what machine is doing, machine is looking at the patterns in the picture and relate other things which are available to it and does the computation and finally gives the decision. This is a very simple task, but when we come to cryptography, I think most of us would be knowing about cryptography. So if we come to cryptography, so its data is very complex. So if we give it to the machine, so machine would probably say that I am extremely sorry because it is beyond my wisdom. So what is the difference between these two talk? What is the complexity? Why it is denying to give a decision? So we will have a look at it. So first, let me talk about the state of the art in this area of machine learning. These are some smart faces. The question is, how many of these faces are fake or how many are real? Obviously, if it would have been in classroom, so I would have discussed. But here, some of us would be saying that all are real. Some will tell that some are fake, some are real. So I add one more picture. So again, the question is same. How many faces are real? Which face is real? So answers will differ, but let me tell you that all these faces are fake. Fake means these faces have been generated by neural network or the machines. Why? Because these faces I have taken from this website. So if you visit this website, you'll see that whenever you refresh this website, this person does not exist.com. So what it is doing, it is implementing two neural networks. They are rivals to each other, and this rival neural network is generating the images. So these are the images generated by the computers. So this is the state of the art. So that much successful is modern day deep learning techniques. So that's why we are exploring these techniques for our area of cryptography. These images have been generated by generative adversarial network, and mostly the artificial neural network or machine learning techniques are behave like black box. That means what is happening inside is not known to us, not known to none of us, not known to any of us. So what is happening now? Researchers are trying to get what is happening. So they are trying this area of explainable AI. XAI is explainable AI. So this is just state of the art in this domain. Now, the next 2 or 3 slides would be for motivation why we are doing it. Now, this is a person and it wishes to store huge data, and he wishes to perform huge ML computation, machine learning computation. So what should he do? So what should he do? So should he purchase costly resources? These are very costly resources. Obviously, no. So what was other option? Do it over cloud, Google Dropbox or any other cloud facility. Definitely yes. So these are our options. But what is the problem? Obviously, this is a big facility, but why we are worried? We are worried because we are sharing our private data in public domain. So sharing private data in public domain, that means we are compromising our own privacy. So what will happen? There would be a big question. So there would be a big question. So this is the motivation for combining machine learning and cryptography. Now, in artificial intelligence or machine learning, we are just trying to mimic the human brain. So let us understand it in a very simple way. This is the human brain. It takes certain inputs. Now, input comes to brain. Now, brain does the computation. Brain has a learning function. We should look at it in a simple way that our brain has a learning function. It applies it to the input and does the computation. And what happens? It gets the output based on the input variable. So this is the simple layout of the working of brain, and that we will try to mimic with our computers. We look at any real world phenomena. I'm again keeping the things very simple. So what happens? Suppose some event occurs or some incident happens. So obviously there are certain input causes. Certain input events are there which are causing the this incident. So input variables are there on the left side and output is there on the right side. So what happens in between? Something happens. in between something happens. So what happens? This is a function. This is a learning function. This function happens, and an incident occurs. Or in other way, we can see that there are certain inputs. We get the output. In between, what is happening? In between, there is some magical matrix which causes input to bring this incident. Okay. But what is the problem with human mind or machine? Uh, this is what we are supposed to get from neural network or deep neural network. Now, if this function, now between input and output, if this function is a linear function means function which has equation of line like y equals mx plus c, where x is input and y is output. For example, let me take, if the sky is cloudy, it is covered with clouds, so we are almost sure that it will rain. So it is a linear thing. Obviously, we can predict it, machine can predict it, and we can visualize the process. As such, there is no problem. Problem happens when there is a nonlinear function in between. Nonlinear function, suppose today there are some clouds in the sky, but it is full sunny there, and full sunny there, but wind is also blowing at a moderate speed. So we are not sure whether rain will happen or not. So what is happening? Our variables have increased, and moreover, those variables will be multiplied to create a nonlinear equation, nonlinear function. Nonlinear function means functions like x cube y plus x square, that type of thing. So obviously, in second case, the problem would be difficult for our brain as well as for the machine. So we'll see how we are trying to solve it. So these are two scenarios. On the left side, human does the implementation. There is no problem. Human is capable in visualizing this function. As such, there is no problem. We can clearly visualize it. On the right side, we can see that human mind does all the implementation. We take the decision. There is some processing inside brain. But what processing is going through the brain, that we are not clear. There are obviously there are some neural connections are there, some computations are there, but we are not able to visualize those functionalities. So similar is the problem with the machine. So we want machine to implement this function on the left side. It can visualize. On the right side, again, machine is unable to visualize the function. So researchers are trying to solve this problem, but at this state, what machine is doing, how machine is behaving to certain inputs, those things are still not clear. So if there is any question till now, so it is most welcome. Okay, no question. So let me continue with this. This is the slide for cryptography. So let us understand this clearly. Suppose there are two mobiles, one on the sender side, on another on the receiver side. We are trying to send the message, "We attack at dawn." This is the plain text. We have to send it in a secure way. So what we will do, we will encrypt it. We are encrypting the plain text. For encrypting the plain text, we take the key. Encryption is just a function which takes the input. We can understand encryption like if some valuable thing is put inside the room, and we are putting a lock on the latch. That lock is called encryption process, and valuable inside is a plain text. And now we have to lock. So for that lock, we generally need a key. So again, there is some valuable message. We are encrypting. This encryption needs a key and a ciphertext is generated. Now the room is locked. That means nothing is visible to anyone. Only that lock is visible. That room from outside is visible. So this ciphertext is generated. From this ciphertext, we can see that nothing is understandable. Now this ciphertext goes out of your mobile. That means it goes over a channel. Whenever it is going out of your mobile, that means it is in the air. It reaches the other side, that means other mobile. Now other side has the decryption procedure. Okay, the same lock, and it has the key. Using this key, it unlocks that locking and gets the message. So this is the overall working. On the left side, what we are doing, encryption, that means we are locking the door. On the right side, what we are doing, we are unlocking the door. Okay, in between, everything is over the air. Now this message has safely reached here, but when it is over the air, what is happening, there are adversaries. There are adversaries who can intercept the message. Okay, who can intercept the message, and what they'll try to do, they'll try to get back the original message. They'll try to get back the original message. Just a minute. So what we have seen, what we have seen, uh, this one. So what we see, that there is some valuable thing that is plain text, and we are having a secret key that is key, and these two things are generating a ciphertext. Okay, these two things are generating the ciphertext. So in other words, plain text and key are being mapped to the ciphertext. This is a very simple thing. So in 1949, there was one researcher, Shannon, who gave this idea that now we understood that ciphertext is a function of plain text and key. So what are the chances that it may have the footprints or some clues about the plain text, and it may have some clues about the key. So if the ciphertext have these clues, so what will happen? The adversary or the enemy will capture the ciphertext. It will try to extract those footprints or the clue. So ideally, what should happen? There should be no footprints of plain text or the key. Again, ciphertext should be a random thing, because it is we are assuming that it is captured by the adversary. So it would be a function of plain text and key, but it should not have any clue about these things. So to hide this, we have certain processes of permutation and substitution. Okay. So what I want to say, that ciphertext is a totally black box thing which does not have any patterns. That means we don't have any clue. So we are assuming that adversary is also not having any clue. Again, coming to that channel between one mobile to other mobile, that is an air gap. Obviously that air gap is an insecure channel, and what is there on the insecure channel? Some ciphertext. Okay, which is a random thing, which should be a random thing. Okay, this is the scenario that we'll try to solve. So we are looking from the point of view of adversary. We are towards the adversary's end. Okay, so what will happen if some cryptographer is there who is, if some cryptographer is there who is designing the cryptographic algorithm? So what he'll ensure, that he'll ensure that there should be no patterns. Okay, that means no patterns means there should be randomness. Again, uh, this was the same. This is insecure channel. Some ciphertext is there. So cryptographer would like to do the design that has no patterns. But if we talk from the point of view of machine learning or any AI system, so it will need certain patterns. Okay, so we can see that both are at the contrary end. So what problem is there? Now machine learning, it says that I need patterns. Now cryptography, I don't have any patterns. And what we are trying, but they say that we cannot marry because they are totally on the opposite side. So we cannot marry, but somehow our task is to get the reasons to get them married. That means we want to we want to mix these two areas which are having the opposite characteristics. I think the problem is clear, or any problem is any doubt is there, uh, because this is the problem that we'll try to see. Any problem? No. Okay, fine. So this is a problem. Let me again explain you. Machine learning and cryptography we are trying to mix. These are having opposite characteristics. One says that I need patterns, some clues to exploit, and other says that I don't have any patterns. Somehow we are trying to mix these two areas. So what we are finding reasons to get them clubbed. So this is symmetric key cryptography. These are just two sides. One side there is encryption, other side decryption. On the both side they are having the same key. I won't go into much details. So sender and receiver use the same key. This is just the written expressions of that slide. But this symmetric key cryptography, this is relatively fast. This is faster, but only disadvantage. What we have seen that two sides are having the same key, but there will be many pairs to many pairs of people who will try to communicate. So for each pair we need to have a different key, we need to have a different key pair. So this is a fast way of cryptography, but the disadvantage is the difficult key management. Now there is another branch, public key cryptography. Public key cryptography is like our emails. Uh, like our email ID is our public key, which is visible to everyone. So anyone can see that public key and send us the email, but only I am having that secret key, which will be used to extract the information. Okay. So what is happening? It is a very simple thing. I publish my public key, that means email ID. Anyone can send me the message, but I am the only one who will receive that message. So this is called public key cryptography. Sender and receiver use different keys. Encryption is scheme based on computationally hard mathematical problems. Okay. Now it is based on computationally hard mathematical problems. That means some complex computations are there. So complex computations are there. That means in programming it will take much time. So it will be relatively slow. It is relatively slow. So what should we do? This is more secure but relatively slow. Earlier was less secure, it was secure, relatively less secure, but it was fast. So practically what should we do? So we do mix of these two things. Like when we do online banking, so when we enter our username and password, what we are trying to do, we are trying to connect the server of the bank. Okay, we are trying to connect with the server of the bank. So that process we do by public key cryptography. There is one more reason, because we cannot go to the bank server and bank cannot come to us. So key sharing would be difficult. So we will do it by public key cryptography. And in this public key cryptography, there is a handshake protocol. Bank server and I do the handshake. During that handshake, we exchange the key for symmetric key cryptography, for symmetric key communication. So initial process was slow, but we exchange the key. Now we have the same key. So over that key, we will do the financial transaction, and that should not take the time. And obviously, that would not take the time. So this was one of the examples of mix of these two things. I hope the things are clear. Again, I'm saying if there is any doubt, you can interrupt me anytime. So this difference I have already conveyed. This is the cipher that is used in online banking or many commercial applications. Most of the commercial applications use AES. This is the layout of the implementation. On the right side, there is one key scheduling algorithm. So this is the basic thing. But we should understand that if whether we are talking about that room or we are talking about that any encryption algorithm, key is the only security. Key is the only secret thing, because your room and lock is visible to everyone. Any thief can come and it can break the lock, but key is with you. So you have only key as secret. Here also, everything is known to the adversary or the thief. Only secret thing is your key. So you should keep it safe. Now, what is our effort? Our effort is that can we bypass this key? Key, we are again, I'm repeating that I'm on the adversary's side. So I don't have key. I have to break the lock. Okay. So can I break the lock using some machine learning thing or AI thing? So we are not sure. Probably. Why probably? Because during last decade we have got so much computational capabilities and some new algorithms are there. So probably we would be able to do it. Again, probably because 99% chances are there that we will fail, but we are looking at that 1% opportunity. Now coming to this neural network, which is the basic, very basic thing in machine learning. So this is the brain structure. Uh, Brain is a collection of neurons. On the left side, there is one neuron. This neuron is collecting the information from other parts of the brain. Now it has collected the information. Now, if this information has any significance or not, so according to that, it will be passed to other neurons. It will be passed to other neurons. So there is one activation function inside brain that is obviously certain chemical. So it collects the information and according to its importance, it will throw the information. It will throw the information and it goes to the other neuron and brain takes the decision. Now on the right side, it is artificial brain. That means artificial intelligence thing. Here we are mimicking the same thing. We are collecting the information from parts of the brain and we have collected this information here. Now, if this information is necessary or not, and what is the importance of this information, according to that, we use activation function. We use activation function, and after this activation function, your machine takes the decision. Okay, fine. I hope it's fine that we are mimicking the human brain. I am taking a very simple example. This is a neural network, basic neuron in the brain or basic neuron in our machine. So on the left side, we are having an input. So what happens? This information goes to the neuron. You can see that lines are thick according to their importance, and we get the weighted sum. Okay, whichever feature has the most significance, so that carries the heaviest weight. So we get the weighted sum. So neuron has just collected the information. Now neuron has to process it. Neuron has to take the decision. So it will apply an activation function. It will apply certain activation function. It will see the importance of this weighted sum and it will throw it further. For this, it uses activation function. Again, this is input. Input goes to the neuron. Information, that means it takes the weighted sum. Now this information is to be sent further with certain force. So that force would be decided by activation function and it goes out to other neuron, and this way all neurons pass their information to each other and brain takes the decision. So this is again an example. uh, on the left side you are seeing certain data which are some samples. These are 4 samples. So on the right side we are trying to train the random weight sorry machine. So these circles are neurons. On the left side, black neurons are part of the input layer. Green neurons create the hidden layer, and on the right side, I wanted to use some markers, so somehow I am not getting it. So can you guide me if I can use some marker?
Vandaranam,
Yes, sir.
can we use some marker on this?
I want to use if you can guide me.
Sir, please repeat your question. Actually, some problem with my side, so voice is not audible properly.
Uh,
In my microphone, some problem is there. Yes, sir. Tell me now again.
Actually, I want to use some marker on this zooms. Somehow I am not. I have used already, but I am not getting.
Sir, if you will do it full
Okay.
screen at uh, at the bottom of the bottom, you will get some kind of pen presentation
Oh
kind of.
yeah.
Do you have
No.
in the PPT
Yeah.
only?
Actually, I am presenting through my.
In full screen it comes, sir. In full screen it
Uh-huh.
comes.
Actually, I am presenting it on my MacBook, and MacBook that now has this option.
Oh,
In Windows,
uh,
matlab that have.
I know only Windows option,
Yeah.
sir. Sorry.
Okay. Somehow I'm. Okay, it's fine.
Zoom. Sir, in Zoom there is whiteboard, I think.
Uh,
When you will get share screen, na, sir, along with your slide, you cannot use that
yeah, that is the
whiteboard.
problem.
Uh,
Along with slide.
if you will again, first you need to stop this sharing, and after again you will share screen, you will get their whiteboard.
Okay. Okay, somehow let me continue with. I hope it would be clear. So again, I'm coming to this basic example. Uh, we have this is a sample we are giving. These are 4 samples, and on the right side you are looking at a machine, and in between neurons there are connection weights. So what happens? We initialize the connection between neurons with some random weights. Weights are just to give the importance to the individual features. So what we are doing, we are presenting the machine with first sample. So it takes the first sample, some processing goes on like it was doing in the brain, some processing goes on, and this is the result. Okay, so you can see that expected result was 0 on the left side. In the sample you can see that expected class was 0, but our machine is giving us the result 0.8. Why? Because we have just started training the machine and we have initialized the weights randomly. Okay, obviously there would be error, and there is a big error. It was supposed to be 0, but it is 0.8. So why this is happening? Because our weights are not trained. So what this error is happening due to connections. So we will improve our connections. We will fine tune our connections. Those weights would be changed now. Now this machine is supposed to be a better machine after modifications. We pass the next sample and we see that this machine was expected to get the result 1, but it is getting 0.9. It has improved, but it has still a scope of improvement. So again error is happening. Error is this. So we will improve the connections. So this process is continued. This process continues for number of iterations, and ultimately we get a machine. We get a AI model, which will get an input and it will give its decision. So this is the process. So for improving the weights, what we do, we use backpropagation process. Backpropagation means we are reducing the error. Error is happening due to weights. So you can see in the graph that we are taking a graph for weight versus error. So error was happening due to weight. So we will we will modify the weights to reduce the error. This process is called back propagation, and finally we will get the perfect weights, and machine would be trained and it will take the decision. The same procedure is being shown here. This process goes on, and this is the weight updation process. I won't go into detail. So on the left side, we saw that it is a neural network. Now, what is deep neural network? So what was happening before 2012, I can say that our machines were not that much capable. So we were able to implement only few layers, only one layer suppose. Now after 2012, there have been big advantages in computational capabilities in processing power. So what we can do, in place of only one layer, we can have several more hidden layers.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I think at the top of your screen you will get their option of more option. So I think there will be a option of annotation. If you will on that, you can scribbling anything.
Record on this computer, record to client meeting into
More option. In more option, you will get their annotation.
इस पे आ नहीं रहा है इसमें
सर जहाँ पे आपने स्क्रीन शेयर किया हुआ है,
हाँ वहीं पे वो
उसी वाले बार पे देखिए मोर ऑप्शन आ रहा होगा कहीं है पे जहाँ पे स्टॉप रिकॉर्डिंग वगैरह भी आता है.
नहीं मोर ऑप्शन वही ये मैकबुक में ना डिफरेंट तरीके से वो कर रहा
अच्छा
है
अच्छा
तो वो
ओके ओके
हाँ
ओके ओके.
ओके thank you for the comments. I hope I would like to take certain questions if there are any. So this is again coming to the slide. This was the process. And on the left side, we are having neural network. Okay, this has only one hidden layer. So before 2012, what I said that we had some limitations of computation and algorithms were also not there. So the machine learning area or AI area just got exhausted and there was no improvement for some time. But during last decade, some computational facilities have improved itself and there are better algorithms. So what happened, we have increased the number of hidden layers. So this you can understand like that you now have more layers to do the processing. Brain has more time, more buffer things to analysis. So this neural network is now deep neural network, and this technique has left every other machine learning technique behind. Nowadays, we talk only about deep learning things. But it is not easy. It was not easy to implement deep learning because what happens when initially only one hidden layer was there, we were doing back propagation. Now, back propagation involved derivatives. Okay, why derivative? Because we wanted to reduce the error which was based on weight. Okay, so we took the derivative del E by del W. Okay, now this derivative would be a value less than 1 or greater than 1. Okay, obviously this is certain. It would be less than 1 or greater than 1. So when there was only one layer, there was no problem. But when we increase the number of layers, so what will happen if that derivative value is less than 1, that means like 0.5. So here there are 4 layers. So what will happen? 0.5 will be multiplied by 0.5 multiplied by 0.025. So if you multiply all these and number of layers are suppose 100, so ultimately what would happen? We will get a value almost zero. Zero, almost zero. That means weight will not get updated. Okay, weight will not be updated. Okay, so I somehow I just missed that function of updation. That function is W equals W minus uh, n and gradient, that derivative. So W minus derivative. Now derivative value is 0. That means W equals W. So that means there is no improvement. And if that value is greater than 1, so what will happen? It will multiply and there are 100 layers. That means that weight would be exploding. That weight will be increased by a large value. So in the bottom you can see that moving from neural network to deep neural network was not that much easy because it was creating vanishing gradient problem or exploding gradient function. Now let us understand it a bit more clearly. This is deep neural network. So on the left side, this is input data. This we need to give in its raw form. Now this is the first hidden layer that is starting the processing. So what it is capturing? Some low level features. So how I would give an analogy like in Facebook, you can tag any friend. Earlier you needed to tag the friend. Now Facebook does it automatically. So how this tagging is done? There is certain image. Now first layer collects the edge information. It collects the horizontal edges, vertical edges. So first layer is having those edges. Now next layer combines these features, combines these edges, and like in Facebook you get nose, ear and mouth or eye. So these low level features are combined to see higher level features. Now next layer will see it at more higher level, and ultimately your algorithm in Facebook will see a complete face it will match that face with its database, and it takes hardly takes any time, and it will finally tag your picture. That means it will give your output. Okay, on the left side you have raw data. First layer of processing, that is hidden layer, does collect low level features. Next layer combines these features to see it at higher level. Then next layer again see it at the higher level, and ultimately we get the decision. Now, what is happening at the neuron level? Let us see that uh, this first neuron in hidden layer, it is collecting the information from the raw data. It has taken weighted sum of input, and
ना
Sorry for interruption. I think some network issues from speaker side.
थोड़ा वेट कर लेते हैं मैम, देखते हैं।
सर ये स्क्रीन शेयरिंग को एक बार एबल कर दीजिए.
हाँ सर, सर डन सर.
Okay. There is one question. So
Indu ma'am is asking 2 questions.
okay, just a minute. What is first question?
Sir, I am just telling you how to insert hidden layers.
Okay. First question is, what does class signify, and how do we insert hidden layers?
Yes sir, yes sir.
Okay. So what does class signify? Suppose there are your problem is that whether today it will rain or not. So this is a two class problem. This is a two class problem. Your one class is that it will rain, Your another class is it will not rain. Okay. So these are two classes. And next question was how to insert hidden layers. So you now the options are it's up to you. There is no problem in taking a number of hidden layers. Uh, uh, there is a simple line of code you do in Python, and there are platforms like you can do your experiment on Google Collaboratory or Anaconda platform is there. But at any place, you just need to add one line of code in which you can mention whether you want to take two hidden layers or 10 hidden layers. It's up to you. There's no problem as such, matlab, from the coding point of view. But how much hidden layer you should take, so it depends on your experimentations. Okay. Now there is one thing that suppose you are taking five hidden layers and you are getting good results. Now this is not that if you will take six layers, then you will improve your results. Okay, this is not sure. Your results can deteriorate. So it needs you need to do your experimentation to fix number of hidden layers, and getting these hidden layers is not difficult in programming. I hope answer is clear. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So again, coming to 2012 or 2016, before that, if you remember when you were using Google Map, so you wanted to reach location A and you were reaching to location B, and there was a sometimes it was at a distance of 1 kilometer or 2 kilometers. This was happening to many people. But after, especially after 2016, you can see that we reach at the exact location. मतलब hardly any 1 or 2 meter is distance, even that distance is not there. So what has happened? This all is being done using deep learning. So you are able to insert more hidden layers, and your machine is able to take the decision. Okay, so this is the improvement. So for traditional machine learning algorithm, what happened? Ki when you increase the number of data, amount of data, so it was not getting improved because the things were limited. But deep learning based technique improves its performance with the increasing number of data, increasing amount of data. So these are some examples in different domains. So we are just trying to mimic again that our brain has exactly one learning algorithm, one learning function, and it implements it and takes the decision. And the similar thing we want from machine. Now, what is the difference between traditional machines and deep learning? There is a big difference. Why we are in every domain we are trying to use deep learning. So this slide will make it more clear. Earlier, what was happening? You had data, then you need to collect the features, then you need to do feature extraction, feature selection, then training, then model, and then testing. Okay. So in a simple layout, input data, and there was some feature engineering task that was pretty difficult. That was very difficult. And but with deep learning, what has happened? You need not to worry about this feature engineering part. There are algorithms. You just need to supply it your input data and tune some parameters, and it will take the decision. So the things have become very easy. The things have become very easy. So due to this, almost everywhere we are applying deep learning algorithm, and we are not talking about this artificial neural network, or support vector machines, or some other things. So one example that I mentioned, suppose this is the tagging example. Any picture is a pixel. It is a composition of pixels. One pixel is nothing but 8-bit data. So at the very initial level, now this bottom thing is our raw data. At the first layer, it gets the horizontal, vertical, and diagonal edges. Now next hidden layer combines these edges to create the object parts. That means eyes, nose, or ears. Then successive layer does some processing and ultimately we get the face. Okay, and using these faces, Facebook or we do the tagging. So you just need to pass only input data and then you need not to worry. Now again, coming to cryptography, I assume that most of us are knowing about this. If not knowing, then it is also fine. Classical cryptography, that means when we were using only paper, pen and paper thing, that A is being replaced by Z, was replaced by something else. So that was a pen and paper. So in those ciphers, there was exactly one solution, but there were some more solutions were also. Like suppose we are getting the solution Q double E N, Q double E N, and exact solution is Q U double E N. Then earlier solution was also valid. So we were having more number of solutions. So therefore the things were easier. But in modern cryptography, you have exactly one solution, and any other solution is not a clue. Okay, एंड इसको प्रॉब्लम को हम इस तरह से समझें कि हमें अनलॉक करना है लॉक को। तो आपके पास पहले जो थी, आपकी बहुत सारी कीज हैं रूम में, लेकिन उनमें से 4 या 5 या 10 की जो हैं वो काम कर सकती थी, आपका हेल्प कर सकती थी, थोड़ा सा आपको उसको मोल्ड करना था। लेकिन मॉडर्न क्रिप्टोग्राफी में आपका पूरा हॉल जो है पूरा की से भरा हुआ है, और ये की के नंबर ऑफ कीज आर 2⁻128। ये मिलियंस मतलब ट्रिलियंस और नंबर ऑफ टाइम्स ऑफ ट्रिलियंस इतनी कीज हैं, और उनमें से केवल एक की जो है वही आपकी हेल्प करेगी, वही अनलॉक कर पाएगी। तो लेफ्ट साइड में आपके पास कीज थी जो क्लू देती थी कि फाइनल की आपकी कौन सी है, या वो खुद भी कुछ काम कर पाती थी। लेकिन राइट साइड में जो है आपके पास एक ही की होगी, वही आपका लॉक को अनलॉक करेगी, और बाकी कोई की इसमें आपकी हेल्प नहीं कर सकती। तो उससे क्या हुआ, व्हाट हैपेंड, कि you could reach to the final solution by taking help from others, and therefore in the left side machine learning things are easier. Machine learning things had a scope of getting solution, लेकिन राइट साइड में जो है मैंने पहले ही बताया कि 99% चांस हैं कि you won't get any solution, but we are looking at that 1% thing. So this is the process. I'm not going into the detail of the process. We are getting the candidate key, that whether this key is right or wrong. एक की उठाई रूम में से आपने, उस रूम से लॉक खोल के देखा आपने, लॉक नहीं खुला, तो आपने फिर दूसरी की ट्राई की, उससे भी नहीं खुला। लेकिन पिछली की यदि आपकी हेल्प कर पा रही है, तो ये पूरा प्रोसेस जो है आपको ऑटोमेट कर सकते हैं, अदरवाइज नहीं कर सकते। तो ये मशीन लर्निंग जो है डिफिकल्ट है क्रिप्टोग्राफी में। अब इसी चीज को इस तरह से समझें, on the left side you have plain text, on the left side you have plain text, on the right side you have cipher text, और इसको बिट फॉर्म में देखना है। now on the right side, if ये टॉप पे एक बिट है जो ग्रीन कलर से मैंने शो कर रखी है, now this bit is a non-linear function of input bits. input bits क्या है, जो लेफ्ट साइड में बिट्स हैं। तो राइट साइड की बिट जो है नॉन लीनियर, मतलब जो लाइन की इक्वेशन नहीं है, और वो बहुत हाई डिग्री की है। हाई डिग्री के मतलब एक्स रेस और 158 175 इस तरह की। तो इस तरह से हर बिट जो है इस तरह की इक्वेशन है। और ये जो क्रिप्टोग्राफी में ये है, ये इट इज वेरी सेंसिटिव टू इनपुट डाटा। आप लेफ्ट साइड में आप एक छोटी सी भी चीज चेंज करेंगे तो आपका जो है ये पूरा स्ट्रक्चर जो है वो टूट जाता है, इट ब्रेक्स। तो इसीलिए बहुत सेंसिटिव है। तो इसको सॉल्व करने के लिए आप क्या करेंगे कि लीनियर इक्वेशंस में कन्वर्ट करते हैं। और आपकी मशीन लर्निंग को जो है इस सिस्टम को सॉल्व करना है। मशीन लर्निंग क्या करता है? देयर इज परहैप्स वन क्वेश्चन। ओके, सॉरी, I'll do it again. Okay, so I'm talking about cryptography. So on the left side, you are having your plain message like "I hate you" type, and in between there is encryption process. On the right side, you are having ciphertext. Ciphertext consists of bits. On the top, there is one green bit. Bit means 0 or 1. Now it is a non-linear function of input bits, and non-linear function with very high degree terms like x raised to power 120, x1 raised to power 128, x2 raised to power 136, and x3 raised to power 246. Such terms are there, and this whole system is very sensitive in the sense that on the left side, if you try to even tweak some bit, so this whole system will collapse. So this is the challenge for machine learning thing. So what is the option? If we keep machine learning aside, we will try to linearize the system. We will try to linearize the system. And suppose we have linearized the system, then the things would become easier. But what is the problem? When you linearize a nonlinear systems, the number of equations and number of variables increases very there are it increases very fast. Matlab it has huge number of variables and huge number of equations linear. Although these are linear, but there are huge number of equations. So handling these many equations will again be tough for our computation resources. So can machine learning will do it? 99% no, but in this era we cannot deny anything. So we are trying our deep learning or machine learning things. So what is the research problem? We talk about cryptography. There is encryption schemes. Encryption scheme. We do analyze its implementation weakness, how it is implemented in the hardware. We implement its mathematical and statistical things by looking at the software things. But what is our new problem? Can we do it by using machine learning? Again, 99% no, but there is little hope that we can do. So now I am taking certain test cases. I will not explain the complete algorithm, but this is the layout. For any cipher, Shannon said that you should use some substitution. Okay, we are using substitution S-box layer. And he said we should also use some permutation. Why permutation? Permutations means shuffling. Shuffling means we are just shuffling the data that so that the effect spreads. Effect spreads. So what substitution is doing? First layer of substitution is doing, it is bringing some confusion, something from outside to confuse. What is from outside? Outside we are bringing some key components and some substitution thing. Why diffusion? Diffusion means permutation. That means we want to permute the things. We want to spread the things. Therefore, these two layers are necessary. We do it repeatedly. We do it repeatedly. Now, I said that the only secret thing is the key. Only secret thing is the key. So we need to bring the key component. We need to bring the key component. So we are bringing the secret key component. So this is the structure of this present cipher. This was planned to be used in ultra lightweight things like smart cards, like your RFID tags or some other applications. Some small chips are there. Small chips matlab you'll have limited resources, limited battery power, limited computational power. So in those things we cannot implement bulky ciphers. So people are trying to get the lightweight ciphers. So we analyzed it with machine learning techniques. This is the process, this is the S box, this is permutation. We will not go into deep of it. This is the complete process of one round. You are seeing that there is a big reshuffling, information is being spread, and there is S box from outside. The whole lot of things are being done with what objective, that our ciphertext should be random and it should not have any clues about plain text or the key. Again, this whole process is being done so that our cipher should not have any clue about the plain text or the key. So this was our layout. Fine. Now what we want to do, again, I am from the adversary side. I am from the enemy side. So for enemy side, what is there to intercept? We are able to intercept the ciphertext over that gap of insecure channel. Over the air जो भी जा रहा था, whatever was there over the air, that we are capturing. And so what was over the air? Only this thing, this ciphertext. Only this ciphertext is available to me. So from this ciphertext, I have to get the plain text. I have to get the plain text. Plain text is at the top. So somehow we are trying to bypass, and nothing is known to us. Nothing is known to us. So this is again the layout, same layout. So I am breaking my problem into parts. On the bottom thing is available to adversary, that means available to us. From this ciphertext, I will just try to get the plain text, one plain text bit. I'm not trying to get the complete plain text. I'm just trying to get one plain text bit. And one trade plain text bit, not with full certainty, not with full probability. This problem is like, now first bit it could be 1 or 0. So this is just like tossing a coin. So what is the probability that it would be a head or a tail? Obviously, if your coin is not biased, then the probability is half. Here also, if your cipher is ideal, it is very strong, then this probability of P0, if we are using any machine, this probability of P0 will be exactly half. But this cipher has been designed by a human being, not God. So obviously it would definitely have certain problems, certain flaws, and we are saying our machine to exploit that flaw, to explore that flaw. So suppose enemy captures 100 ciphertext, 100 messages. So from 100 ciphertexts, if in 50 cases he is able to get the right bit, then this does not make any sense, because this is 50% result, that means half probability, then there is no gain. But somehow if adversary out of 100 cases he solves it in 65 or 70 cases, that means it is predicting the width with good probability. I hope it is clear. They are predicting the first bit with good probability. That means in 65 or 70% cases, you are able to predict one part of the plain text, and that will help you in
predicting the other parts of the plain text that may help you. Like suppose this bit gives you the clue of being Q, then obviously you'll try your options QUEEN or QUEUE. So your problem area is reduced. So this way you'll try to predict all bits. So this is the problem. This is the problem statement. Given any ciphertext data, can we predict P naught with better than half probability? Can we predict the toss, whether it would be head or tail, with better than half probability? In that case only we can say that our coin is biased. So we are saying that our coin is biased. Here in our case, this coin is our cipher algorithm, crypto algorithm. So we are trying to see whether this crypto algorithm is biased or not. So we carried out the experiment using artificial neural network. You can see in the results, the results are almost zero point 0.5 for each bit. That means our machine is not able to capture anything. Even at a single place, if it would have captured a bias, then this would have been assumed to be a cryptanalytic attack on the system. But we did our experiment and we can definitely say that this system is secure and you can use it. But we are saying it from the point of view of our machine learning attack. We did several more experiments with deep learning things. We used LSTM, GRU, and convolution neural networks, autoencoders. Somehow we could not get any results, and we were able to say that this present algorithm is secure from the point of view of practical applications. I have two or three more slides if there is any question for this, so I may answer it.
Any question from any participants?
Okay, I think there is one question.
Sir, I want to ask one thing.
There is one question. I take that. It is from Kalpana. She says, "Sir, we are trying to break the system, but is there any way to secure using machine learning?" After two or three slides, I'll come to that part. And there was a big effort from Google team, so I'll definitely discuss it for 1 minute. Yes, ma'am. Please tell me.
Suppose, sir, we are doing any supervised learning and number
Yes.
of neurons of input layer and output layers are given there. So how can
Yeah.
we calculate their number of neurons in hidden layer? Is there any formula, sir?
Generally, there are no formula, but some assumptions are there. Certain researchers have given this that you should. One is saying that you should use n+1. That means n neurons are there in the input layer. Then you
Okay.
should use n+1 neurons in this. There is one more result that you should use 2n neurons. So
But but if, sir, both input and output layers
200.
neurons are given there, then
100 neurons are given in the input layer, then you should use 200 neurons in the first hidden layer. But
sir,
generally, what? Yeah,
sir,
please.
one question came in AKTU and semester examination that there are four neurons in input layer and two neurons in output layer. Then how many neurons will be there in hidden layer? So that's why I'm asking: is there any particular formula to solve this particular problem?
No, no, there is no fixed formula. There are only suggestions that if 4 neurons are there input, then you should use 5 neurons or 8 neurons in the hidden layer. So
Okay.
these are just suggestions. Otherwise, it's up to you. But generally, what I do, if there are 64 neurons in the input layer, in first layer, I try to use 128 neurons. And then in next layer, I take it to 256 neurons.
Okay,
Then
sir.
again, reduce it to 128, then 64, then to my number of classes.
Okay, sir. One more
So
thing, sir, as you told us, कि for solving any problem, for getting our accurate answer, number of hidden, how many number of hidden layer we can introduce there, okay? As you told
Mm.
us, like 4 layers, 5 vision layers, any number of vision layer we can introduce there.
Yes.
But sir, don't you think it will increase the space and time complexity of the program?
Definitely it will increase, and increasing the layer does not guarantee that you will get the better results. We have seen the experiments, like one experiment I used 3 layers,
Okay, sir.
results were there, 4 layers results improved, and fifth layer results matlab results deteriorated drastically. It was reduced, results were reduced. So
Hmm.
we optimized it to the 4 layer, and there is as such no theory of using many layers. It's up to your experiments only.
Okay, sir. Okay, fine, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so some, I think 15 minutes are left. One more test case to discuss. We did some more experiment with this data. Somehow we could not get anything. Uh, this is RC4 cipher. This was used earlier used in GSM communication for most mobile communications in some countries. In India, it was not allowed. So RC4 cipher was used. This was a very simple cipher, and earlier people were assuming that it had some loopholes. Generally, what happens in the countries, some developed countries, these countries try to give their algorithm and they put some loopholes, some backdoor into it, and they try to capture the messages. Okay, so there is question, I think. Okay, I'll answer your question, Ms. Kalpana. So so they put their trapdoor. So we use this cipher to see whether we are doing the things right or not. We are doing the things correctly or not. So we took this cipher, and this was the objective. We used Google Collaboratory. We did some fixing, and training was 80% data, 20% validation data, and this was the uh, setup. And here you can see our target was to predict the bytes, bytes, output key streams. So we could observe that second byte in cryptography, everything should happen in a random way. That means all events should equal probability. Okay. Now in this table, these are 10 outcomes, 10 possible outcome, 10 outcomes. All other outcomes are coming with bad probability. Okay, this probability 256 class problem this is. So probability of one class is 1 upon 256, which is equal to 0.0039. So you can see that everywhere it is coming with 0039, but at second place it is occurring with double probability. The machine is able to predict it with double probability. Okay, that means there is a flaw. So our model was able to capture this flaw, and we could just confirm that yes, we are doing the right things. In earlier case, the crypto algorithm was strong, but here crypto algorithm is relatively weak, so we could exploit the things. This is the state of the art. Last 2-3 slides. Some challenges are there. The state of the art. I'll talk about this in next slide. And opportunities are there. ML needs some meaningful data. So can crypto data be made meaningful? Now crypto data is a bit different from other domains. So somehow how we should pass the crypto data to ML, that is also a questionable question. And one area that is emerging, explainable AI. Here you can find the reasons why a model is behaving this way, why model is behaving like this for a certain input. So those things are emerging for last couple of years. So this is the question, this is the answer to your question, Kalpana. So in 2016, Google brain team visualize that we have already entered into the IoT era. That means a smart city era, a smart system era. So there are billions of gadgets interconnected. There are billions of interconnected devices or gadgets. So if we see a gadget as a human being, and if we see a pair of gadgets as a pair of two human beings, so if two human beings are there, so definitely they will try to evolve, they will try to have their own encryption scheme for secure communication. Because if a system, a communication scheme is known to third person, that means somehow you have compromised with your communication. So what Google team tried, that two gadgets are there or two robots are there, so they want to evolve their own encryption scheme for secure communication. So it was a very basic work, but it was the first work, I think, first concrete work. They tried to send the message and their target was that the gadget Eve adversary should not able to extract that message. So these two gadgets were two neural networks, and initially they were communicating their messages, but adversary was able to intercept that. But after training it for certain epochs, there came a level where when they were communicating it privately, matlab confidentially, but it was not visible to the adversary neural network. They did this work up to 16 bits, 16 bits, then 32 bits, 64 bits, and they were successful. But obviously, scalability problems are there, and somehow there were, in my knowledge, there are no big efforts after that. People are analyzing, but there were no big efforts. So this is the problem. And the next problem is somehow everywhere we are compromising our privacy, our data, because everywhere we are allowing the app to have our inputs. We are doing our computations over the cloud. So there is a different research area uh, uh, working deep learning over encrypted data. You'll send your data in encrypted way. Google will have its encrypted thing so that your data is not visible. It will give the encrypted answer and you will get the encrypted answer. You have the key, you will unlock the system. This is like you are going to doctor and you are not telling the doctor about your problem, your disease. Doctor is giving you the medicines for that disease. Problem, it gives the medicines, and medicines are coming encrypted, and you have the key, you'll get your treatment. In fact, what are the medicine is also not known to doctor. This is the ideal scenario, this is not the practical scenario. And one more analogy, you are asking a question to Google. Google should not know about your query, but it will give you the encrypted answer. So Google is neither knowing about the question, neither nor it is knowing about your solution, but you're posing your question and you are getting your answer. This is a different area of homomorphic encryption and several other techniques also there, but I don't see it will get a concrete solution. Solutions are there, again scalability issue are there. So it needs huge computation. So next 10 years, matlab I cannot say, but in my view, next 10 years, I don't see any opportunity like this. So, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I think everyone have enjoyed this session. Lot of it. That session was very informative, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, please stop your sharing, screen
Okay.
sharing.
Yeah, that's it.
Just a moment, sir.
Yeah.
This is a small thank you from all of us from entire IT department, Galgotias College of Engineering and Technology. Thank you for sir, accepting our invitation and giving your valuable time to us. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
It was
sir.
my so should I disconnect?
Yeah, sir, you can leave now. You can leave now. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Deepak, sir.
So we will join at 12 p.m. for the session of Nitin sir.
Nitin sir is here.
No, we will join this session on at 12 p.m.
Yeah. This is the tea break for 30 minutes. Next session will be started at 12 p.m. with Mr. Nitin Garg, who is from ALTCC Ghaziabad. So, see you all in next session. Please join that session on time. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you all.